It was supposed to be just another quiet evening in rural America during the 1960s. A young boy, exhausted after a long day exploring the countryside, decided to rest for a few minutes at the edge of a cornfield. He didn't know it yet, but that brief nap would change his life forever. That boy was Alex Collier, who would later become a helicopter pilot for the United States Air Force. But long before he wore a uniform, Alex would experience something few would dare believe, something he himself can't fully explain. A moment of darkness, and then, suddenly, the silence of an ordinary evening gave way to something entirely unexplainable. When he opened his eyes, Alex realized he was no longer in the field where he had fallen asleep. The air felt different, and the surroundings were bathed in a cold, dim light. Around him, metallic walls, unfamiliar surfaces, everything looked utterly foreign. And standing next to the table, perhaps an examination bed, where he lay, was a towering figure, over 2 meters tall, with pale blue skin and physically flawless features. That being was perfect. And strangely, Alex felt no fear. In that moment, he understood, without any words being spoken. He was aboard an alien spacecraft, and this was only the beginning of a journey that, by Earth standards, would last 3 long months. Alex struggled to process what was happening. His senses couldn't keep up with the unfamiliar reality surrounding him. Nothing made sense. The location, the sensation of time, even his own body felt foreign. But slowly, he began to notice the details. The ship was colossal, a structure so vast it seemed to defy the laws of physics. According to what he would later learn, this ship stretched over 900 miles in diameter. To put that into perspective, if it landed in the center of Texas, its edges would reach Oklahoma to the north and nearly cover all of New Mexico to the west. It was, quite literally, the size of a small country. But its immensity wasn't just physical. There was something else, something dimensional. Alex described that the moment he crossed the threshold of the ship, an invisible boundary between outside and inside, something in his body changed. He felt different, as if his atoms, his very molecules, needed help staying intact within that space. That's when he was given a special belt, an unfamiliar device that somehow held his body together. It felt like my molecular structure was being stabilized by it, Alex recalled. Without that belt, I honestly don't know what would have happened. Maybe I would have just come apart. The physics we know simply didn't apply there. The rules were different, and Alex was learning that firsthand. With time, Alex got to know his hosts. They identified themselves as beings from Andromeda, a galaxy located 2.6 million light-years from Earth. They were tall, with pale blue skin and calm, wise expressions. There was something profoundly ancient in their eyes, as if they carried countless eras of knowledge and understanding. During his time aboard the ship, Alex primarily interacted with 2 of them, Visayas and Moroni. Visayas was the elder, an astonishing 43,000 years old. Moroni, younger and more curious, was around 17,000. Neither of them used spoken language. Their communication was telepathic, direct, clear, and impossible to misinterpret. But they didn't just speak to him. They felt what he felt. They understood his thoughts even before he could form them. And through this silent exchange, they began to teach him. Inside the massive ship was something truly unexpected. A park. Not a cold, metallic artificial space, but a living, breathing environment filled with trees, lakes, and soft hills spread across 21 square miles. A place of calm and beauty. But with one strange twist. Everything was holographic. To human touch, none of it was real. You couldn't touch the trees, drink from the lakes, or feel the grass. But to the Andromedans, the holograms were as real as any physical object. They could see, sense, and even emotionally interact with the simulated environment. For Alex, it was like walking through a dream. And it was there that he first saw Andromedan children being taught by their elders in serene outdoor classrooms. When they noticed him, many of the children hesitated. There was fear in their eyes. Moroni later explained, "They are being taught about the human race. They don't fully understand you yet." In their eyes, Alex was the alien. And, in many ways, he was. As time passed, though time is a complicated word in this context, Alex began to notice something even stranger. The concept of time inside the ship was completely different from what we know on Earth. According to the Andromedans, one day aboard their ship equaled 31 Earth days, meaning that Alex had been gone for 92 days on Earth. But on the ship, only 3 days had truly passed. This temporal imbalance had physical effects. He felt constantly fatigued, needing sleep regularly, something his hosts found odd. They began to suspect he was ill, but it wasn't sickness. It was cosmic jet lag, a misalignment of time so vast it disrupted his entire biology. Can you imagine what that does to a human body? If we struggle with a few hours of jet lag from crossing time zones, what happens when time itself bends around you? Despite the challenges, Alex kept learning, and his hosts kept sharing. As their relationship deepened, Visayas and Moroni began to share staggering revelations. Information that could upend everything we know about the cosmos. They told Alex that the universe is 21 billion years old, 7 billion more than the current scientific consensus of 13.8 billion years. That alone is enough to challenge everything modern astrophysics believes. But they didn't stop there. According to them, over 135 billion humanoid beings have existed throughout the universe's long history. That suggests not only that life is common, but that civilizations rise and fall across the stars regularly. Let's talk numbers for a moment. Today, astronomers estimate that the observable universe contains roughly 2 trillion galaxies. That's already mind-blowing. But the Andromedans claim that's barely scratching the surface. According to them, There are 100 trillion galaxies across the multiverse, each filled with diverse life forms, some so ancient we can't even comprehend their existence. And here's a question for you. Do you truly believe we're alone? Or are we just one small civilization in a sea of cosmic giants? If what Alex says is true, then the universe isn't just vast, it's alive. And we are barely waking up to that reality. Over time, a persistent thought grew inside Alex. Why me? Out of billions of humans on Earth, what made him the one? Why not someone else? Someone with more knowledge, more power, more experience? The answer came in a way he wasn't expecting. According to Visayas and Moroni, Alex was chosen because of his genetic lineage. They claimed his ancestry contained markers that trace back to their own race, a distant connection, ancient, forgotten, but still present in his DNA. And then came a revelation that shook him to his core. They told Alex that he had already lived on Earth over 62,000 years ago. In that ancient life, he had attempted to intervene in a conflict between two alien beings and lost his life in the process. Whether it was an act of peace or rebellion was never fully explained. But that event, they said, created a spiritual bond between Alex and their kind. It was a staggering claim, and it raises a question that may hit closer than we think. What if many of us carry forgotten cosmic ties? What if our DNA holds stories from other stars, other times, and we simply don't remember them? In that moment, something clicked within Alex. He understood that his presence on the ship wasn't random. It was part of a thread, an ancient one that was slowly unraveling before him. He didn't know what it meant yet, but he knew his life would never be the same. During his stay on the ship, in between lessons and observations, Alex began to notice something curious. The Andromedans weren't just studying humans, they were concerned about humanity. One day, as he walked down one of the corridors with Moroni, the being suddenly stopped in front of a translucent panel displaying real-time data. Alex couldn't understand the symbols, but he saw Earth's atmosphere on display, glowing, pulsing, numbers, readings, graphs. It was all beyond him. Moroni stared at the screen in silence, a serious expression on his face. Then, calmly, with his voice resonating directly in Alex's mind, he said, "Humans don't understand why their atmosphere is there, or why they need it. This is a suicidal tendency." Those words etched themselves into Alex's memory. He interpreted them as a warning, a subtle but powerful alarm about our future. To them, Earth was a sanctuary, a rare, living world. But they also saw how blind we were to its value. We pollute it, strip it, destroy it, and we do it without understanding the consequences. The Andromedans, according to Alex, had a very clear view. Earth is irreplaceable, and we, its inhabitants, bear a responsibility far greater than we realize, one that goes beyond politics, borders, and money. But are we ready to understand that? Or will we continue behaving like owners of the planet instead of its temporary stewards? Their critique wasn't harsh. It was sad. The kind of sadness you feel when watching a younger sibling making the same mistake again and again, and knowing you can't fix it for them. During his nearly 3-month stay aboard the Andromedan ship, Alex wasn't confined to a single space. According to him, he was taken on unimaginable journeys to other planets and even to other dimensions. He couldn't always tell whether these experiences were physical, mental, or something beyond human understanding. But one thing was certain: they felt real. These voyages showed him impossible landscapes, ruins of ancient worlds, remnants of civilizations long gone, even glimpses of cosmic battlefields. In one of these visions, the Andromedans shared a chilling statement. When humans begin to explore the universe, they will find ruins everywhere. Ruins of what? Of whom? They never explained in detail. But the tone of their message was always the same: a quiet preparation, as if they were getting him ready for something that one day would come to light. Then came a revelation that made Alex question everything he thought he knew. According to his hosts, the United States military is 400 years ahead of current public technology. Let that sink in. 4 centuries of advancement, hidden from the world. Developed, they claimed, through reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology recovered from downed or captured alien crafts. And that's not all. The Andromedans also revealed that the US has secret bases not only on the Moon, but also on Mars. Yes, you heard that right. Secret installations on celestial bodies we haven't even officially colonized. Technology far beyond what we see in the public domain. And a level of power kept tightly under wraps. Could this all be just another conspiracy theory? Or are we getting glimpses of a much bigger truth? Alex says he didn't just hear these things. He was shown evidence, videos, documents, photographs. But to this day, he claims he hasn't released them publicly. Why? Because he was threatened, silenced, warned. Still, despite the fear, Alex made a choice: to speak out, to share what he knew, to tell the story, even if most wouldn't believe it. Because for him, this wasn't just about truth, it was about awakening. And then, just like it began, it was over in the blink of an eye. After nearly 3 Earth months aboard the Andromedan ship, Alex was returned. No ceremony, no dramatic farewell, no final explanation. He simply woke up where it had all started, lying near the cornfield as if nothing had ever happened. But here's the strange part. No one had noticed he was gone. A child disappears for 92 days, and not a single soul reports it. No searches, no panic, no trace of alarm. It was as if time itself had folded around him, like he had been removed from our reality and quietly placed back into it without a ripple. That silence, that lack of reaction, haunted him. But Alex knew what he had lived was real as the air he breathed. And then, years later, in the early 1980s, the contacts resumed. But this time, they came differently. There were no ships, no blue-skinned beings standing in front of him. Instead, The messages arrived through telepathy, dreams, and vivid visions. In sleep, he would be transported to places he couldn't describe, places that felt familiar and foreign at the same time. And there, the voices of Veseus and Moroni would return. This time, he had the courage to ask what he never could as a child. Why me? Out of all the people on earth, why me? And again, the answer came: genetic connection. They told him his soul, his lineage, his very essence was connected to theirs. That he had lived on Earth before, 62,000 years ago, and had once tried to stop a conflict between alien beings. A mission that ended with his death. A strange revelation. And yet, deep down, something about it felt right. As if the truth had been waiting to be remembered. With time, Alex began to share his story publicly, in lectures, interviews, and conferences. And the way he told it was surprisingly casual, almost like someone recalling an unusual vacation. Despite the gravity of his experiences, he spoke with a calm, almost nostalgic tone. And that's exactly what drew people in. Even when the content sounded unbelievable, even when some laughed, the way he told it made you want to believe. In one of his talks, he shared how the Andromedans viewed money, not just as primitive, but as a form of slavery. According to them, humans are the only species they know that uses paper with pictures as a means of control. For Veseus, money wasn't just strange, it was tragic. A symbol of how far humanity had drifted from its essence. And as if that weren't mind-blowing enough, he reminded people of something else. The beings he spoke to were ancient. Veseus was 43,000 years old. Moroni, 17,000. And yet, they looked vibrant, centered, timeless. For them, time wasn't an enemy. It was a companion. Despite the threats, despite the fear, and despite being dismissed by many, Alex chose to keep speaking out. He knew most people wouldn't believe him. He knew skeptics would laugh. But something inside him told him it was worth it. Because his mission wasn't to convince, it was to awaken, to plant seeds. If what he experienced was real, and he believes with every fiber of his being that it was, then his story could help humanity open its eyes, not just to the existence of other beings, but to ourselves, to our potential, to our responsibility, to our role in something much, much bigger. What if even a small part of this story is true? What if we are being watched, not with judgment, but with hope? And what if we're not alone, not just in the universe, but in our very origin? For some, Alex Collier is a visionary. For others, a dreamer. But above all, he's a man who had the courage to share something impossible. And whether you believe him or not, his story continues to echo through the stars.